Happy Saturday, dividend growth stock investors. It's Colby, the DGI Crab, back with some more good news for you this weekend. Boring, vanilla. Why would you ever invest in it? Verizon just did it again. They just increased their dividend once again. They are so remarkably consistent in what they do here. This is a higher yielding stock with lower but super consistent dividend increases, which makes it perfect for those tier 4 DGI Crab shareholders aged 54 and up. As you may or may not know, this channel focuses on just 60 individual high-quality dividend growth stocks broken into 4 separate categories or tiers based off of your age. And Verizon, as I said, falls into that tier 4 category for the immediate income seekers. This stock, in my opinion, is best held by individuals that are already into their 50s who are looking to add immediate dividend yield very quickly. Not a great stock if you're in your 20s and you've got plenty of time to let more aggressive growing dividend payers like Visa and Nordson and Parker Hannifin and some of those companies in tier 1. Those will make you a lot more passive income over the long haul. But if you need that money now, Verizon is going to give you qualified dividend income, which means it is extremely tax advantaged. It's going to pay out on the second month of every quarter, so months 2, 5, 8, and 11, which makes it a nice pairing for the dividend paying ETFs that are very popular out there, like VYM and SCHD, SPYD, etc. So I am such a big fan of this company. It's not exciting, all right? I get it. They acquired Frontier this year, and there's people that have some doubts about how that's all going to line up with their business and what it's going to do for their shareholders. But so far, anyway, it hasn't changed a thing about what it is that they actually do. So Verizon has increased that dividend quarterly payout to 67.75 cents a share. This is an increase of just a smidge below 2%. Now, I'm not a professional investment advisor, so don't take anything I say as advice. I'm just sharing my opinions on stocks that I like in the market, and Verizon absolutely is one of them. A 4-year average dividend yield currently, that is a number that has been gradually trickling up over the last couple of years. It is yielding higher than that right now. Verizon's yielding about 6.5%. They're keeping that payout ratio right around 50%. Sometimes it gets a little closer to 60 like it is now. Every now and again it might dip just slightly below 50, but they usually keep it right in the 50 to 60 range. They've been growing that dividend for 19 consecutive years with a 5-year growth rate of just about 2%. And I want to show you the history on this one. I know that a lot of you out there might think this one is boring, but let's look at what it's done here. So they just went up from 66.5 per quarter to 67.75. They did a similar increase in 2023. Then you see in 2022, 1.25 cent, 1.25 cent in 21, 1.25 cent in 2020, 1.25 cent in 2019, 1.25 cent in 2018, 1.25 cent in 2017, 1.25 cent in 2016, 1.5 cents in 2015. So you can just see they do 2 cents, they did 1.5 here, 1.5, 1.25. Remarkably consistent. Remarkably consistent. And it might not be the most exciting thing in the world, but if you're getting Verizon yielding higher than average, which is what we're trying to do here on this channel, we want to buy our dividend income when the stock is yielding at least 20% higher than the 4-year average. And the higher above 20 we can get it, the better. When Verizon started paying a dividend back in the year 2000, they went a few years just keeping the dividend payout steady. 38.5 cents a quarter for 2001, 2, 3, 4. And then in 2005, they started this streak, where you saw we went through it Very, very consistent year over year. They had a couple of pretty decent increases of like 3 cents a quarter. But as you can see over the past 15 years, it's primarily been 1.25 or 5 cents a share per year. And again, 2% dividend increases aren't super exciting, but if you're buying Verizon when it's yielding around 7%, that's a really nice dividend combo factor. You are acquiring higher yield, tax advantaged, with a nice long history of slow but steady and predictable growth, which is so much more than you can say for a lot of really high yielding stocks out there that will cut the dividend, or they'll go through long periods of not increasing it. So your dividend payout isn't even keeping up with inflation. Verizon is at least at the point where it can do that for you in most years. So big time fan of this stock. If you're looking to add immediate income and you're already in your 50s or older, and you're either trying to make your retirement a little bit more comfortable by maybe gradually starting to convert some lower yield stuff into higher yielding things, you could do so much worse than Verizon. And if you're not quite at the point where you've got enough money to live off of your dividends yet, but you're still working hard, still trying to get there, Verizon is the type of stock that can really help to give you that last final push over the edge, because you'll be acquiring yield. If you're doing it today, you're getting yield at 6.5%. I don't necessarily think that Verizon's quite on sale enough for my tastes. It's 10-ish% higher than the 4-year average. I'd like to see the share price go down into the 30s before I'd start aggressively adding any Verizon. But if you've already got yourself a decent pile of this stock, I think you ought to feel pretty happy that once again, right on schedule, Verizon comes through with for the shareholders with a predictable, boring, but a raise nonetheless. And that's what we're all about here. All right, everybody, that's it for me, Colby the DGI Crab. Email me your questions at dgicrab@yahoo.com. Links in the video description below to a video on each of the 4 tiers where I go through each of the stocks in each tier, explain why I picked them and why I think that I've got the 60 best dividend growth stocks in terms of quality and consistency that you're going to find out there. Leave me comments below. Let me know if you own any Verizon and if you are satisfied with yet another dividend increase. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next time.